The story now, the ANC's road to Nasrec hits a halfway mark today. This when ANC Electoral Committee head Aviwe Mtila formally announces preferred candidates for the top 6 positions ahead of the party's 55th National Conference. The party's former Treasurer General Aviwe Mtila is hoping to stop President Cyril Ramaphosa from securing a second term. Culture Minister Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma and Tourism Minister Lindiwe Sisulu are also in that race. Let's unpack this further now with eNCA reporter Aviwe Mtila, who joins us. Good morning, Aviwe. Can you just give us the very latest and all-important meeting today that brings the ANC a step closer to that very, very crucial contest? Just talk us through what we're expecting to hear today.
Good morning, Fundo, and I'm with some of my media colleagues here at Luthuli House who say that we've been waiting for this day eagerly since the beginning of the year, since January. Now, of course, we're going to hear the announcement at around 12 o'clock of the possible candidates that will be part of the ANC top 6. That's at the elective conference that kicks off at the 16th of December up until the 20th of December. The Electoral Committee, in fact, has been conducting its work thoroughly over the last year from June 2021, and today they're ready to announce, of course, those candidates. In fact, I'm going to rope in the Secretary of the Electoral Committee, that is Chief Mtila. Thank you for joining us at eNCA. But let's talk of the criteria of the names that we'll hear here just in about an hour's time.
Yes, the criteria we use as the Electoral Committee is in terms of the ANC Constitution, which says that anybody who should be presented at the National Conference should be proposed by a province. How that is done is that we had a situation where the ANC was conducting branch general meetings where they were nominating delegates and also nominating those they prefer to be leaders at the NEC level. Now, all of that is then consolidated so that we can be able to determine who is proposed by which province, which means that the person who gets the highest nominations in a particular province becomes a nominee for that province. That all of that is tallied into a national list where we rank the candidates in terms of how many nominations they received across the country. And that leads to a situation where you can have a top 3 or sometimes you've got top 2 candidates depending on how the nominations by branches and provinces would determine.
And then let's talk about then maybe other possible criteria. We know the step-aside resolution has been a very contentious one leading to this conference even. And those that are suspended, will they be eligible to stand as officials?
No, there are 3 main categories of those who may not be allowed to stand for the positions, either be officials or additional 80. Those who have been charged or found guilty of serious crimes. By a serious crime, we mean any crime that could result in a prison sentence of more than 6 months, and the charge is really a charge in the court of law, and that excludes charges that are only still at the level of police stations. Then there are also comrades who have been found guilty by the disciplinary committee of the African National Congress for various misconduct, or maybe they've had their membership suspended in the last 10 years. Also, those comrades, even if they are appealing, those decisions will not be allowed to stand. And finally, is those that are temporarily suspended pending the outcome of a criminal case or a disciplinary hearing. And in some cases, the Integrity Commission will have recommended a step-aside situation or suspension of membership or dismissal from the ANC. If that is the case, those may not be allowed. When we say the recommendations of the Integrity Commission, we mean those recommendations which have been approved by the NEC of the ANC.
Okay, so that means the likes of the suspended ANC SG Ace Magashule won't be able to stand. And then maybe also talk to us about the issue of financial disclosures. You mentioned the last time you spoke at the last NEC meeting that at least 10 people had come forward with the financial disclosures, barring President Cyril Ramaphosa and Aviwe Mtila. Will they have a bearing in the names that you'll be mentioning here? And what role will the financial disclosures play heading to the conference?
No, since then, a few more comrades, including President Ramaphosa, have now disclosed their financial information relating to the campaigns. And the issue there is that we want to scrutinize the financial records to ensure that the expenditure that is there is allowed in terms of the rules. And what is allowed currently will be transport and minimal catering. which excludes buying of alcohol and also hiring of venues and some accommodation. When we say these expenses are allowed, they are allowed when people are campaigning in the various regions and areas where the membership is. When we come to conference, no candidate is allowed to transport delegates, feed them or accommodate them or pay for any expenses when they come to Nasrec. That will be a breach of the rules, which then could lead to people being disqualified, because that will be tantamount to trying to manipulate the outcome of the electoral process in December.
And what about, because we understand the conference itself is expensive, there are those registration fees for the conference for more than 4,200 voting delegates. I understand the branches have to pay some 1,800 Rand. Will these candidates be allowed to cough out some of the money?
No, the candidates are not allowed to have any expenditure that is related to the participation of delegates here at Nasrec at all. So that will be breaching the rules and code of conduct of the ANC, and that's something that the Electoral Committee will take harsh actions against.
Okay, and then how many candidates are we expecting to be announced here today, and what happens to floor nominations? Does that mean at the conference there will be no names coming from the floor?
About 16 candidates will be announced today, and of course at conference any province, including the leagues, may raise their hand to nominate somebody from the floor. Any person or comrade who is nominated from the floor will be allowed into the ballot, provided they get 25% of the nominations on the floor.
And what about the vetting process then? For example, if they have been found with serious crime that spans over a 6-month sentence, what happens? Will you be there as an electoral committee to guide against those?
We'll vet on the spot. Our system is very, very quick. In a few hours we are able to, determine as to whether there are any criminal cases or any criminal judgments that are on the record. And we are also then be able to look at the issue of membership of 10 years, uninterrupted membership.
All right, thank you very much. Chief Mtila is the secretary of the Electoral Committee that has been doing its work for the last year, since June 2021. And of course, in about under an hour's time, in fact, we're expecting the ANC to then announce, we do understand, the top 6 candidates. We do understand there are 16 of them mentioned here. And of course, there could be those surprise nominations coming from the floor.